Hey guys, so I am going to start to post videos and you'll start to see things regarding the Shade Tree Economist. And it's just kind of the direction that I want to head in the future. Kind of who I feel I am and maybe always have been. And I want to be out here to ask dumb questions and pose questions that make people think and, maybe add value in a way that, I feel that the regular human would want to hear. I've been in real estate and doing some other things. And I know in real estate, they want to, everybody will help you and you'll be great, and they're going to charge you $1,000 a month, and or you're going to go spend some money on a rah-rah something or other. And my idea is, let's build a community and have conversations and discussions. I think we have a community. I think what I need to do personally is build better relationships and more of them. So, this is a new direction for me. I have been getting my houses ready, and trying to execute on my own economics, and reflecting on all that. And there's just so many, moving parts like anybody would have. So I'm going to just try and kind of break them down over time. But, one thing I've learned, I want to share with everybody is we've probably had some time to reflect over the pandemic. And I hope that we're all a little bit more in touch with what we like, at least, right? My thought is the problem that we may have is that we're not plotting a course, or we don't have certainty enough to plot a course, or whatever. That to me is what I want to throw out there. And so how do we get through something like that? So back, I'm going to try and stay on to the idea behind the Shade Tree Economist. Personally, I've always been since I was a youngster, wanted to be like a Renaissance man. Wanted to be just the type of guy that can just pick something up and learn it. And I don't have to be the best. I just want to know that I'm proficient. And this is kind of taking me down some crazy rabbit holes. If you know me, this is a pretty long list, from a raft guide to I was actually a dog sledding guide on a glacier in Alaska where we flew in on helicopters, and so it was just kind of one of those things I can see where you can just kind of go from one thing to the next, and that's kind of how my life has kind of gone until I kind of got into my adulthood and whatnot. But to tie it back to the pandemic and what I've been kind of reflecting on a lot myself is what gives me joy. Is a lot of those things that I did before I was 18, or those kind of things I'm noticing. I'm really liking being outside. I'm a car guy. I'm a bike. You can see my bike right there. I'm a bike guy and a car guy, and so those kind of things. So I really enjoy those kind of things, and what I find is I was giving myself road rage and this or that, and so going down this little rabbit hole of self-development and trying to just be happier. I've kind of grown a lot over the years, and really, excited for what the future holds. But what I feel is needed in the world is the idea that we have to understand our economics, every one of us, like we needed to understand a little bit about our cars in the 80s, okay? So I know I'm going on a tangent here, but I got when I listen to something that gives me joy, or I want to listen to something that gives me joy, I listen to Car Talk reruns from the 90s. And I don't know if you're familiar with Car Talk. Click and Clack, the Tappet brothers on NPR. They were brothers, and I hope, this is resonating with enough people. But what gives me joy about listening to these podcasts is I know it has no relevance to what is going on in the world right now. We are going to hear about cars that are probably in the junkyard, and it's just so funny to me what happens in the world of Car Talk on NPR radio in 1990. But to take away, the takeaways for me are really what I want to tie into. We don't need to work on our cars anymore, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, the whole Car Talk is not a necessity because our cars are driving ourselves. I don't want to work on my car anymore, even if I could. And so, that's just something we don't have to worry about anymore, is our cars being unreliable. However, our economics, guys, there's nobody out there going to help you. And if they're going to help you, they're going to charge you like a bad mechanic's going to charge you, right? And maybe not fix the problem. So going back to, they would call in and say, I have this problem with my car. And these two brothers would be able to listen to the problem over the phone and try to come up with the solution. Now, how crazy is that, right? They would call in with their Fiat or their Chrysler or their whatever car it was, and they would be able to ask you what sound it made, what problems are you having. They actually had a book that was from Ford that said what these books are, what these sounds may be. And what is a clank? An official clank or a clunk? Is it a clank or a clunk? What do you got? Make the sound. And so you have people calling in, and it could be a lawyer, it could be a plumber, it could be a farmer, it could literally be anybody, and it was anybody. I encourage you guys to go out there and listen to one episode, because you have a cross section of America, and they all needed this information because it was important. That you didn't have the reliability with your car. 100,000 miles was like the end of the road for some of these cars, right? So it didn't matter who I was. I needed to know enough about my car to get to where I was going. I didn't want to get screwed over by the auto mechanic. And so a lot of the questions were, this is what the mechanic is saying, is he lying to me, or those kind of things, right? So this is where the thought came to me on some walks with Luca, that we need to embrace this concept of our own economics and our own budgeting, and the budgeting of our time, and the budgeting of our relationships. And the economics is not just money. Once you throw out the word money and this and that, it's, we don't want to talk about it, or that I can't trust talking to you about my money. And so let's take it up to a little bit level of economics, because your time is money. Your emotional strength is there as well, right? So that's the idea, is, I always kind of felt that I am a jack of all trades, master of none, and I will be this shade tree economist for us, so we can start asking the dumb questions, make me sound dumb. I have made some great mistakes. I invested in a Bernie Madoff style Ponzi scheme 5 years ago and lost $60,000. We'll put a pin in that. I'm going to just kind of keep this as an intro video, and we'll see how it goes. But hey, when I go and I lose all my money and I go write a check, and 6 months later and it's not looking good, you have a crossroads, okay? You can learn about your mistakes and realize I don't know what I'm doing, or I can be mad about it and go off in a victimhood mentality, okay? And I realized I didn't know anything about money. And what did this do? It really made me realize I literally know how to rescue somebody out of a crevasse on a glacier in Alaska, and those kind of things. But I couldn't tell you how money works. I know how to get you up to a high ropes course in a climbing wall. I know how to get you down a class 5 rapid. Old people, little kids, it doesn't matter. I'll get you down the river. But I don't honestly know how money works at this point, in my life. And so when you go and write a check and you lose all your money, you're reevaluating your life. So I found that the economics of whatever it is has always been an interest for me. As I can see, it relates to everything else. So when I was able to start to realize how the economics of my time, the economics of my love and my mindset were starting to evolve, it all ties in together, and then I would also say we get too much in our own head. So when I'm trying to listen to a lot of different viewpoints and just stick to who I'm at. So what I'm seeing out there is somebody's really good at mining, or somebody's really good at crypto, or somebody's really good at this, but they get sideswiped by something that they just haven't seen, and what I will tell you is, if I would have been a fly on the wall, and if Harley would have asked this, Harley, what do you think about putting $60,000 into this investment? I would have said, I would suggest to rethink that. I'm trying to get rid of the word should in my language, and but to be honest, if I was really Harley's friend, I would have said, Harley, no, brother, you're not an accredited investor. You don't have certain things dialed in. There's nobody that should be putting $60,000 in cash in a high-risk account when they don't have other things in their life and a job. So what I want to help is to just share my story, share my mistakes. I think they are really boots on the ground level information tied to high level stuff. And one thing I suggest too is listening to a lot of podcasts. The reason I like the podcast is because you can hear my voice. You can hear my inflection. It's hard to think I'm lying to you when you can hear my voice. And it's not filtered through clips or words or whatever, okay? So that's where I get my information from. That's where I'm trying to keep a panoramic view on the world that we live in. And moreover, guys, I think everybody needs to start having a better panoramic view of the world we live in, whether you like it or not. I know that people swing one way or the other, but I like to go back to sea analogies, and I have no idea why, but my suggestion is to batten down the hatches and get your battleship ready and plot a course, because I believe we're in a bit of a storm right now, okay? And you don't want to be bouncing around the other boats in the harbor, not knowing and getting ready. You want to batten the hatches, and then if it's a bad storm, you need to know where your course is, and you need to keep some movement going in a storm, right? And so that's my suggestion for folks. If you're going to see me, you're going to see me tell you over and over again, plot a course. And it doesn't need to be a grand course. It could be, hey, we're going to get the kids through this year of school, and it's going to be with joy. And, we're going to set our example of handling things with joy and with grace instead of reacting to things and, those kind of things. and we're going to lead ourselves. Lead yourself. If it's just me and me, if my company's just me, but I'm still leading myself down the road, okay? And Luca. So I say we, too. You'll hear me say we. Plenty of people behind the scenes. Even if it's just me and Luca, it's going to be we. So, this is the start of some videos, and I'm going to get better at these things, but this one's also pretty long, but the idea is, guys, we just have to help each other out, and I think there's a level, of integrity and honesty that we kind of have to do. I wish somebody would have said to me after I sold my house and I had over $100,000 in my bank account, let's sit down and start learning before you do anything. Don't do anything for 21 days is what Tom Billy recommends. I'm going to take an action. That's something I want to implement, but I'm not going to do anything about it for 21 days. I'm going to learn. I'm going to read the tea leaves, see what happens. And boy, oh boy, if I would have waited 21 days, I would have not invested. I would have not done that. So I'm already restored, just bought my second home, and life goes on. And I'm not a victim, and I'm super happy, live and learn. But I think it's time to get the good information out there. You're going to hear me say over and over and over again, my 3 core values are honesty, integrity, and community, okay? Honesty is number 1, integrity is number 2, and community is number 3. And what does that mean? If I don't trust you, and I don't trust you because you obviously don't have integrity based off your history, you're still going to be in my community, and I'm still going to love you. Because that's just how the world is going to be for Harley. And you don't have to do that. I don't want anything from anybody in reverse. This is a one-way attitude, guys. Honesty, integrity, and community. So if you're going to get in my orbit, know that's what you're going to be dealing with, okay? And if you don't want to have honesty, integrity, or community, then we probably aren't going to like each other. And I don't care whether you like me or not, but this is how I'm going to carry myself into the world, and I'm going to be honest with myself, with each other, and I'm going to challenge us all to kind of raise our own, humanity level. Raise your own level, be your own advocate is what you'll hear over and over again. It's not up to somebody else to be your economist. End of story. We don't live in that world anymore, guys. Your 401k, this or that, go down the rabbit hole. How well do you really know, if something were to happen to somebody right now, how well do you really know how well you'd end up? Okay? And I'm not here to shit anybody. I'm just here to, ask you a freaking question. If something were to happen to your spouse today, we're mortal, okay? Where's your family going to live? Seriously, where's your family going to live? Is all those ducks in a row? Is your $500,000 house going to be paid for? And then are they going to be able to live for how long on whatever the proceeds are? These are real hard questions that I don't think folks ask each other and hold accountable to. If I had kids, I don't. If I were to die today, Luca's set, okay? But if I were to have kids, I would have need for more life insurance than what I have. If I had kids, I would have a really, clear understanding that if something were to happen to me tomorrow, I can sleep at night because I know they're going to be okay, because I know what my numbers are. And if you don't know what your numbers are, that's okay. This is all not rocket science either. I can get you to numbers on a napkin, okay? People we know and that can get you to numbers to where you feel confident that your ship's going to make it through by just scribbling out 4 corners on a napkin. So we're up here about 20 minutes, and I'm going to send this out, and who knows is going to hear it. But give me some feedback. Tell me what you're thinking. How could I do this better? But this is Harley Moss, the Shade Tree Economist, moving forward.